Imagine a country so vast, it could swallow Germany, France, Spain, and the United Kingdom combined. Now picture that same enormous territory with a population smaller than the city of Berlin. This is Mongolia. A statistic claims 99.7% is uninhabited, painting an image of near-total emptiness. It prompts a question. Why is this massive country so seemingly devoid of people? For decades, this single shocking figure shaped the world's imagination. The truth is more complex and far more fascinating. To a satellite, empty means lack of permanent structures, sprawling cities, dense farms. To a traveler, it's endless steppe, ochre desert, and rugged mountains. To those who live here, this space is filled with life, tradition, and history. Here rhythm is set by seasons, the sky and the needs of herds, not concrete or clocks. To truly grasp the immense scale of Mongolia, we must first find it on the map. It's a nation defined not by coastlines, but by the sheer expanse of the continent surrounding it. Utterly landlocked, Mongolia exists as a vast island of steppe, desert, and mountain ranges in the heart of Central and East Asia. This geographic isolation is fundamental to its character. To the north lies the endless Siberian taiga of Russia, but it's the southern border that dominates the map. To the south, east, and west, Mongolia is enveloped by China, creating one of the longest continuous land borders between any two countries on Earth. This unique position, sandwiched between two geopolitical giants, has profoundly shaped Mongolia's history, its economy, and its very identity. It is a nation that has always had to navigate its path between titans. With no direct access to the sea, all trade and transport must pass through its powerful neighbors, an age-old reality that dictates its modern strategic and economic calculus. The country itself spans over 1.56 million square kilometers, making it the 18th largest sovereign state in the world by land area. To put that into perspective, Mongolia is larger than the entire Iberian Peninsula, more than 4 times the size of Japan, and nearly 7 times bigger than the United Kingdom. Yet, across this colossal territory, only about 3.4 million people live here. This makes it the most sparsely populated sovereign nation on the planet. If Mongolia had the population density of a country like France, its population would swell to over 180 million people. Instead, its emptiness is legendary. For millennia, this landscape of extremes, with its harsh climate and limited arable land, naturally favored a life of mobile pastoralism over dense permanent settlement. But to see this land as merely empty is to miss the point. To Mongolians, it is open. This vastness isn't a void, it's a presence. It's the foundation of a culture built around movement, resilience, and an intuitive, profound bond with the land itself. This contrast defines modern Mongolia. Nearly half the population is concentrated in the capital, Ulaanbaatar, while the rest of the country remains a sprawling, open range. This space is not a barrier to life, but the very condition of it, shaping a national psyche where freedom is measured by the horizon, and wealth is counted in livestock and open sky. Mongolia isn't a monotonous void, it's a diverse, dramatic tapestry. The Altai's beauty is extreme, short growing seasons, arduous travel, sheltered valleys for winter refuge. The steppe is an ocean of grass that bursts vivid green in brief wet summers, feeding millions of livestock and enabling empire on horseback. Thin soils and dryness limit intensive agriculture. Nomadic pastoralism fits the land. The legendary Gobi is mostly a cold desert, gravel flats, rocky basins, and windswept ridges. Scorching summer days, frigid winter nights, life persists. Even here, resilient species endure. Less than 1% arable, altitude, aridity, and temperature swings make large-scale farming impractical. Mongolians perfected life on the move, harvesting grasslands through livestock rather than plows. The land's riches are the vast grasslands themselves, sustaining herds, livelihoods, and culture. Geography isn't emptiness, it's the operating system of Mongolian life. To truly grasp Mongolia's unique distribution of people, we need to meet its two distinct worlds. Our journey begins on the vast central steppe, home to Bat Erdain and his wife, Solongo. Their life is a portrait of tradition, deeply woven into the fabric of this immense landscape. Their home is a gyr, a masterpiece of nomadic engineering. Constructed from wood, felt, and rope, it can be disassembled and packed onto camels or trucks in a matter of hours, ready to move with the seasons. Here, wealth isn't measured in currency, but in livestock. At sunrise, the day's work begins. They milk their goats and mares, a vital source of food and income, before mounting their horses to guide the herds toward fresh pasture. This rhythm of movement is ancient. They shift camp 4 or 5 times a year, following ancestral seasonal patterns that ensure the health of their animals and the sustainability of the grasslands. For them, the open land is not empty. It is a shared resource, a living library of possibilities. Their minds hold a detailed map of every pasture, water source, and mountain pass. Now, let's travel hundreds of kilometers to a completely different reality. Meet Ankh Bayar, a software developer living in a high-rise apartment in the bustling capital, Ulaanbaatar. His morning doesn't start with the sun over the horizon, but with the sound of city traffic. He works in a digital office, his connection spanning the globe through the internet. Ankh Bayar is one of nearly half the country's population now living in the capital. They are drawn by the promise of modern education, advanced healthcare, and diverse economic opportunities unavailable on the steppe. This powerful urban gravity creates a stark contrast. As Ulaanbaatar swells with new residents, the vast countryside, the historic heartland of the nation, continues to thin out. And there is a third world emerging. Far from both the city and the traditional pastures, in the remote Gobi desert, Oyu operates heavy equipment at a massive open-pit mine. She represents a new kind of remote life, living in a purpose-built camp for intense 2-week shifts before flying home. These resource hubs are modern-day boomtowns, tied not to pasture, but to the mineral wealth buried beneath the ground. 3 different lives, 3 different Mongolias. The enduring tradition of the herder, the magnetic pull of the urban center, and the powerful logic of resource extraction. Together, they are reshaping the nation's ancient patterns of life, reorganizing its people without ever truly filling its immense open map. With 1,564,000 square kilometers and about 3.4 million people, Mongolia averages just over 2 people per square kilometer, the sparsest sovereign nation. For perspective, the world averages over 60. The Netherlands exceeds 500, but averages hide concentration. Population is far from evenly spread. Roughly 70% live urban, nearly half live in Ulaanbaatar, half the nation on a sliver of land. Beyond UB, towns are small. Rural districts host schools, a few shops and scattered homes. Around 1 million people live nomadic or semi-nomadic, often kilometers from neighbors. The emptiness comes from concentration and accelerating urban migration, jobs, education, amenities. The stats don't lie, they reveal concentration, not absence. Mongolia's climate is unforgiving, and a key limiter of population. Winters drop to -30 or 40 Celsius. UB is the world's coldest capital. It's arid, especially in the Gobi, compressing growing seasons and stressing herds. A Dzud begins with summer drought, poor forage and low hay stores, then brutal winter, deep icy snow blocks grazing. Weakened animals die in massive numbers. In 2009-2010, over 8 million head, about 20%, were lost. Many herders, ruined, migrate to UB's outskirts, fueling unplanned urban growth. Dzuds are becoming more frequent and severe, linked by many to climate change. Climate is not a backdrop, it actively limits how many people the land can sustain and pushes them cityward. For centuries, mobility organized society, power flowed across the steppe. In the 20th century, Soviet-style socialism rewired life and economy. Collectivization pushed settlement, industry birthed new urban hubs. Ulaanbaatar modernized, education and healthcare concentrated there. After 1991, subsidies vanished, many returned to herding, briefly reviving nomadism. Then mining rose, the engine of growth in a new minocracy. Wealth clustered in the capital, isolated camps dotted the desert. Traditional herding offers few modern opportunities, youth stream to the city. From Soviet planning to mining logistics, history keeps centralizing people, leaving the land open. Let's start by busting some common myths. First up, the idea that Mongolia is just one vast, empty desert. This couldn't be further from the truth. While the famous Gobi Desert does cover about 1/3 of the country in the south, it's a landscape of rock and gravel plains, not just sand. The majority of Mongolia is actually rolling steppe, a sea of grass that has sustained life for millennia. To the north, you'll find dense taiga forests, and the west is dominated by the majestic Altai Mountains. It's a country of immense geographical diversity. Myth 2, that nobody lives outside the cities. The reality is that a third of the population, nearly 1 million people, are rural pastoralists. Their lives are built around the mobile GR, a traditional dwelling perfectly adapted to a nomadic existence. This incredible mobility is why the landscape can appear empty from a satellite's perspective. But on the ground, it's a hub of constant purposeful activity, a life lived in harmony with the seasons. Myth 3, that this vast land is unproductive. For pastoralists, these grasslands are the source of all wealth. They provide everything: meat and milk for sustenance, wool and cashmere for trade, and horses for transport. And beneath the surface, a different kind of wealth drives the modern economy: vast, world-class deposits of copper, coal, and gold. This leads to the biggest myth of all, that emptiness means neglect or lack of value. Here, space is not empty, it is open. This openness is a cornerstone of the national identity, representing freedom, mobility, and a profound self-sufficiency. So when we look at that 99.7% of unoccupied land, we're using the wrong word. Empty suggests a void. Open suggests potential and presence. Mongolia is a nation profoundly shaped by its climate, its diverse geography, its deep nomadic history, and the powerful pull of modern industry. Its story is one of a dynamic tension, the ancient rhythms of the steppe playing against the powerful gravity of the urban world. Yet these two worlds are not entirely separate. New technologies like solar power and satellite internet are bridging the distance, potentially enabling a new kind of modern nomadism. The shocking truth of Mongolia isn't an absence of life, but a profound, enduring, and deeply meaningful presence that thrives within its magnificent open space.